Professionalism versus academics. That's what we're going to discuss today or talk about today. What's your take about professionalism versus academics? Well, professionalism is definition to vocational and developing practical skills to be able to do management, whereas academics has to do more with leadership tendency, and of course, research and theories. So much to say about. Well, Cameroon, like many other parts of the world, at a certain point, uh, develop curricula or curriculum in terms of job orientation and services to offer after school. For the past years, you have statistics of about that's 2017 to 2018 level that actually talks about plus minus 100,000 students that graduate, whether it's undergraduate or postgraduates, that do graduate every year in Cameroon in the job market. In terms of recruitment, statistics has proven that about 2,000 have been recruited. So where does the rest of the thousands go to? Now, if we agree that um, studies is not a liability but an asset, it means that there is an investment that has been done for profitable tendency. And so I would like to look at it in a more profound way than just a simple sense of understanding. Profound way of looking at things will mean that I start from the very basics of education. In many parts of the world, the basic curriculum in terms of education is not standard. That is, there's no specific way to design it. And but of course, you got a few things that are put together to guide in terms of structural tendency. In other words, there's a lot more to showcase in terms of trying to discover who you are than trying to impose what you should be. At that instant, at the beginning, of course, lots of things have been put in place to showcase, lots of things have been put for exposure. So children can develop and along the line, they're able to see who they are and discover who they are along the way. I want to give you a few points that you have to remember as we tend to do this together. The first thing is vision will choose your studies, library, friends, and environment. I repeat, vision will choose your studies, library, friends, and environment. That is to say, what is your vision? You need to start developing the passion for a vision even before you go further or higher in education for you to be productive in a sense of orientation. What is your vision in life? It's very important because it enables you to be purposeful. You can go to school, but after that, if you're not purposeful, then you don't become useful. And so, number one is about vision. You need to. Vision is what you're impregnated with. Vision comes from the fact that there is a passion within you, a certain zeal within you to resolve a specific issue in life or specific issues in life. And so it is important that you should have a vision. What is it that you want to resolve? What is it that you want to do? I've heard of good cardiologists and good specialists in life stem from the fact that they had one or two persons who was very sick and probably died of a heart attack, issues related to that, and they decided to focus so much in terms of cardiology and see how to develop, and they were innovative along the way because of vision. Now, what is your vision? Number two, it has to do with the fact that there must be a problematic that you search of a solution for. There must be a problematic that you're in search of a solution for in terms of higher education. And of course, when you talk about somebody who is doing masters or above masters, you're talking about somebody who is already a master in a specific domain, right? That's what masters mean. You are a master of theories, master of a specific domain. And because you master those theories, you're able now to do a research, which is a doctorate or a PhD program that enables you to add to the existing theories that are. So it will be whether you're bringing a minus in terms of the theories that you already master, or you're bringing a plus, an innovative tendency that will definitely make a change. And that's what a PhD program should look like. And so, if at the base you are not vision oriented, it becomes difficult for you. And along the line, you become more of a manager than a leader. The difference between a manager and a leader is management has to do with vocational. That is to say, you're already professional in terms of what already exists. And so you're just trying to manage what exists. But along the line, you must step forth to become a leader. A leader is somebody that decides to do further research based on the existing theories and management principles to see how to reason out of the box. In Cameroon, we have every year plus minus 100,000 graduates, whether undergraduates or postgraduates who are in the job market. But according to these statistics, we have equally about 2,000 who have been recruited or been absorbed in the different fields of work. Now, what is your take? Where is the problem? Is it in relation to curriculum or curricular designing, or it's based on something else? Well, for me, I've tried to look a little bit in terms of professionalism and academics. Professionalism versus academics, if you want. And so, when we talk about professionalism or professional status, we are talking about an aspect in life or a field of studies where it's more vocational. In other words, we have more of practical skills than theories being applied. That is to say, we're going to have about 80% of practicals and time management to study in practical terms and just 20 theory per se. Academics, on the other hand, has to do with 80% of theories and just 20% of practicals. Okay? Now, if our schools have been built, whether we call it professional education or academic environment, and yet we don't have enough exposure and adequate or ample time to demonstrate in practical terms, it becomes difficult to be absorbed into the job market. That is why, according to the Cameroon statistics of employment or deployment after education, just about 2,000 out of the 100,000 graduates every year. When you ask, where is the issue? They say they want more of experienced persons than graduates. Yes, of course, I think they're right. In other words, we need that environment, that space to be more pragmatic or practical in terms of our studies. The difference between Western way or genre of studies to African is that they have the laboratories. They have all the time to carry on the practicals. At the end of the day, somebody who is reading physics has visited the laboratory as many times as possible and has touched different equipments and carried different experiments along the line. Whereas in Africa, because of the fact that we need a lot to invest in terms of these sanctuaries or this exposure, little or less is done in terms of that. But of course, the theories in physics are the same, textbooks are the same, but then exposure is an issue. Now, I want you to know something. The second point I want you to know is that vision will choose your studies, right? Your library, your friends, and your environment. Well, I'm not saying that we should move to the West because of vision. What I mean to say is that from a tender age, when you begin to develop vision, um, the adrenaline to studies, the push in terms of studies will enable you to go beyond the quest of your present environment's possibilities. In other words, you begin to aspire and develop a way forward. An undergraduate, of course, is somebody that studies more in terms of theories, a little lot more in terms of practicals along the way. And of course, when you reach to the position of a master's in terms of studies, you're said to be a master of those different theories that you have discovered along the way in your field of study. Mark you that your vision determines your field of study. That's why you must have a vision even before you get further in education. What is your vision? And your vision describes your purpose, and your purpose gives you the impetus, gives you the adrenaline, gives you the tenacity to want to discover more in terms of your field of study and to display more along the way. And so at higher education, we are talking about what? You were designed to solve a specific problem. That is to say, postgraduate, you should begin to discover that you were designed to solve a specific problem. What is that specific problem? That's where entrepreneurship in the job market becomes very interesting because you have seen all what exists within your environment, whether it comes to a practical sense of you or it comes to study, and therefore you decide to do a PhD because you want to be innovative, you want to discover more. So visionaries are people who become passionate and purpose driven and they want to venture more. So at the level of PhD, we're no more talking about managers, okay? Managers of theory and practicals. We're talking about people who are getting into the portfolio of leadership, all right? And when we talk about leadership, you are prepared to do the mistakes because leadership comes from the word lead, which means wrong, okay? So you want to lead in the path that is yet to be discovered. That's what a PhD student is all about. So he wants to make an innovation, something that has never existed. So he wants to be a failure. He's not afraid to be a failure. Now, this being said, it is uncalled for a PhD program to be blocked. Now, rather encourage these individuals to be able to develop skills because knowledge is the birthplace to success. When I talk about success, I mean to say don't make yourself to be a success, but make yourself to be relevant, to be valuable. So, on what part of life do you want to be relevant or valuable? That's what I'm talking about. So, it's not just having the certificate or having a PhD, but it's for you to say, I am going to be valuable in this sector or in this domain whatsoever. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be innovative in order to fit in the job market. We need to create employment. At the level of PhD, we have to create employment. In other words, we have to be problem solvers. Okay. So you have to develop means and devices in order to thrive, to change your society and to be innovative.